Tremors and Fuzz. Yo, what's going on? It's someone that's no one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report is coming from Kyle off Earwood. When this happened, 2010, the drug used was spice, specifically a blend called Haze. At a dose of 10 hits total, the route of administration was smoked, gender, male, weight, 135 pounds, age, 19. Prior experience includes spice and nitrous oxide, and the setting is at home. So here we have another spice report that doesn't turn out too well. A user takes a few hits too many and ends up in a really rough position, but we'll break it all down at the end. So I think you guys will find this one interesting, and without further ado, let's dive right into it. Background: I had been smoking this incense maybe 5 to 12 times per day for a few months as an alternative to failing drug tests. I had one bad experience when I first tried it, but all of them after that had been somewhat pleasant with the exception of this one. 2100 hours, 25 minutes. I load up one very fat bowl and smoke it out on my balcony by myself. This is unusual as I typically set my limit to 1 to 2 hits. I got a good 5 hits out of this bowl. I immediately begin feeling high, a lot like marijuana at first. 2100 hours, 35 minutes. I am starting to feel much higher than I am comfortable with, and that is saying a lot. This is the point where it starts to become a little unpleasant. 2100 hours, 40 minutes. I feel awful, and I just want it to end. I want to come down from this more than anything. 2100 hours, 45 minutes. I'm starting to get a very strange tingling sensation in my hands and feet, similar to a nitrous oxide experience, but I realize this is not supposed to be happening. I had read horror stories of these incense products before, but never really believed them. Heart rate is at 120 beats per minute. 2100 hours, 50 minutes. I am painfully aware of every second passing by as though it were a lifetime. I am feeling absolutely terrible. The best way I can describe it is the feeling of being poisoned. The paranoia is overwhelming. My heart rate is at a concerning 130 beats per minute. 2100 hours, 55 minutes. I am literally laying in my bed, shaking uncontrollably. I'm seeing fuzzy, colorful dots when my eyes are opened and when they are closed. My hands are shaking. Can't focus on finding a pulse. It is all I can do to focus on breathing in and out. 2200 hours. I am having severe tremors and heart palpitations as I lay in bed. I'm astounded that I'm actually hallucinating from this, as I've never encountered anything like this from marijuana. I am very scared. All I want is for this to be over. 2200 hours, 5 minutes. At this point, the tremors have gotten worse, and I'm legitimately afraid for my life. My body is tingling all over, and I'm still seeing fuzz everywhere. I frantically call numbers until I get a hold of someone I know I can trust. My jaw is shaking, and I can hardly talk. I tell him to call 911 and send an ambulance to my apartment if I don't follow up with him in 10 minutes. 2200 hours, 10 minutes. The tingling sensation and fuzzy vision has begun to subside, but I'm still shaking violently. I try to get up and get some water, but fall back in my bed. 2200 hours, 15 minutes. I text to my friend that I'm doing okay, and there will probably be no need for an ambulance. I can keep myself from shivering if I try very hard. I still feel terrible. My heart rate is at 110 beats per minute. 2200 hours, 30 minutes. 1 hour, 5 minutes in. I am no longer shaking, seeing dots, or tingling. My heart rate has reached a moderate 85 beats per minute. I am not concerned for my life anymore. In fact, I just feel high, albeit shaken and disturbed. Over the next hour, I feel occasional waves of anxiety that decrease with each occurrence. I had no way of telling how close I was to being in real danger, but I will say that I will not be smoking that much ever again. I just want to put this out there for people to realize that this stuff most certainly can cause hallucinations, it can cause tremors, and it definitely accelerates heart rate. So that was a pretty dangerous account, which for the most part hasn't been an uncommon theme in our spice reports. But what is spice and what does it consist of? If you don't know, spice is a term used to label synthetic cannabinoid mixes. Often these days, they're labeled as herbal incense. But before, around 10 years ago, it was common for spice to be sold in a head shop with intent of human consumption. Needless to say, a lot of people started experiencing many adverse effects that led there to being a ban on spice. But of course, there are some loopholes where if it is sold as herbal incense without the intent of human consumption, it can be sold. Of course though, you aren't able to find out the ingredients, so those who do choose to go this route, they pretty much are just smoking a random blend of synthetic cannabinoids. Could be one, could be multiple. Thing is, you won't know unless you get it tested at the lab, which even if you were able to figure it out, there probably won't be much research to go off to go about ingesting it safely. The reason these synthetic cannabinoids act so strongly is because a majority of them act as full agonists, while cannabis only acts as a partial agonist. This leaves room for a lot more to happen. And it isn't uncommon to hear of people having seizures, having a stroke, convulsions, ending up in a psychotic mess, panic attacks, just some very unsettling stuff that you can run into on spice, which I think the most fearful part of taking spice is just not knowing what you're in for. I mean, at that point, you're pretty much just straight up deciding to smoke random chemicals in hopes for a few good hours or so. But other than ignorance and a possibly deadly curiosity, we see in this report why someone may turn to using spice. One of the most common reasons is to not flag positive on a drug test. I mean, ideally this would be a great route if there wasn't all the potential danger, but some people come to be dependent enough that they'll turn to using it to get a high and still want to pass their test, so this would be a viable route. Of course it can backfire, as the addictiveness of spice tends to be higher and there's a potential for rough withdrawal effects. But let's bring up another report to compare, which the last spice report we did, or rather synthetic cannabinoid, was Be Careful by Prospect, where he took JWH250 in 3 to 4 hits. Now first Prospect was fine after 1 hit, but it was after multiple hits when he got forward. He too claimed he felt it made him way too high, which he describes some rough derealization, and that he felt like he was being sucked into a vortex to outer space. Main difference from his experience was there was no strong adverse physical effects, which is why I want to also bring up The Lucky Few by Scarecrow. In his experience, he smoked spice with a group of friends. A good portion of the group got disoriented and lacked good judgment. Scarecrow ended up back in his truck, where he continued to have hallucinations, puked, and then passed out for a while. So I think we can see there are clearly dangers associated with spice, especially when users try to overstep and go hard. But we're going to leave it there today. If you guys did enjoy this report, let me know below and we can get more spice reports or whatever you want. If you guys did like this video, like the video, subscribe to the goddamn channel if you haven't already, follow the socials, it's been someone that's no one, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.